These signs are starting to make a comeback in the real estate market in the Greater Toronto area, and I know from experience that it is inciting a lot of FOMO in buyers. People I'm speaking to every day are worried about the market getting away from them, so I wanted to jump into the numbers with you today to talk about sold over the asking price. Hey everybody, it's me, Rob Marsiglio with Keller Williams Referred Urban. I'm out here in Durham region helping the great people east of Toronto, and I'm trying to bring you content each and every single week to add value to you in your real estate search and just building a general knowledge as to what is going on in the real estate market currently. In today's video, as I've touched on, I want to talk to you about the dreaded sold over asking sign. It's going to incite a lot of probably bad memories from the last few years of bidding wars and all these things, but I want to just go over some of the differences to bidding wars and sold over asking that we are seeing now versus what we saw in early 2022. Then we'll also take a little look ahead as to what could potentially happen in the coming months with prices across the Greater Toronto area. Let's get right into the numbers here. And what I've charted here is 2022 and 2023, the dark line for each being the total sales for the year, and the more faded color underneath is how many of those sales were for over the asking price. So you can really just take track of this percentage. I know it's pretty cluttered, but you can see in 2023, this number has been slowly increasing, and this is the week ending April 18th that we have data up until right here. For 2022, you can see it was a similar situation. Things really peaked beginning of March before we started to see that share of properties selling for over asking start to fall off. We started to see sales activity fall off. That was kind of the start of the correction. So the first thing I do want to note is that yes, we are seeing an increased share of sold over asking properties in 2023, but we are still nowhere near the levels, even kind of on the way down. The decline in 2022, we're not at those levels of sold over asking quite yet. So that's your weekly breakdown to kind of get an idea of where things are at. Follow me on my Twitter page because I will update that chart every week, every other week. We'll see what happens, but I keep that up to date a little more often than I do on YouTube over here. So make sure you hop over there to follow me. What I want to hop into next is that was a weekly breakdown. Let's take a look at monthly though. Yes, properties are selling for over asking, but kind of in the grand scheme of things, what is the actual ratio of the sold price to the list price? Are we seeing that as a whole, the market, things are selling for over asking? And the simple answer is that they have started to sell for over asking, in terms of price more recently. So back at the beginning of the year, January and February, we were seeing those numbers, the median sold price was about 97.5 to 98.7% of the list price. So things were selling for less than asking on the whole. Whereas if you look back to the beginning of 2022, we were 18.9% over asking, 20.6% over asking before we started our fall off in the correction in March and April. So what you'll notice is that it took until March of this year for things to actually start selling at asking on average. So while we were seeing a lot of sold over asking signs, what this tells us is that there were a lot of properties that weren't being marketed as sold over asking that were actually selling as well, right? They were either selling for asking price or maybe a little bit below. I know a buyer that I helped earlier this year, we secured a property for under the asking price. That's not to toot my own horn, but it's just, I'm not promoting that out there like some people would be promoting the sold over asking part of things. You're not seeing maybe both sides of that coin. And now in April, 2022, it was down to 6.9% over the asking price. That's the median sold to ask ratio. And now we are seeing properties selling for about 1.5% over the asking price. So yes, we know that a good chunk of properties now, over half, are selling for over the asking price, and that as a whole, the median sold price is a little bit higher than the median list price that we were seeing. But I know one argument I've been hearing is that, list prices are way down this year compared to where they're at last year. So let's hop in to look at the median list price of properties that are actually selling this year. And this one kind of surprised me a little bit. Earlier in the year, there's a $70,000 spread. We knew that properties that were listed a little lower, affordability crunch, we've talked about that a ton on this channel. So we were seeing properties that were listed a little lower selling. You weren't seeing people kind of offering on properties that were overpriced. I'm not indicating that people are offering on properties that are overpriced anymore, but you can see that the median list price of sold properties in March and April is very similar for 2023 and 2022. And I think the shrinking of the gap has to do with maybe buyers becoming a little more savvy and understanding that the list price could be closer to market value and expectations this year, whereas last year that was not the case. People are willing to offer on properties that are priced a little higher this year, similar to the pricing last year, because they know they're not going to be paying way over the asking price. At the end of the day, the list price of sold properties and the kind of sold to ask ratio is all just noise that translates into what you're seeing here, which is actually what are the median sale prices of freehold properties across the Greater Toronto Area. So you can see the trend this year is a little bit the opposite of what we saw last year. You know, we saw the peak in February of 2022, followed by the fall off in prices, whereas this year we are seeing the gap kind of close. Will prices in May of 2023 year over year be higher than 2022? That's kind of yet to be determined. This is an early estimation of what we are looking at for 2023 across the board. You can see that gap has closed to about $70,000. It was closer to $200,000 in March. So I think it speaks a lot to the rapid decline in prices last year, as well as kind of the gradual ascent that we are seeing this year. Looking at this chart as a buyer, you may be freaking out. This line, it's kind of conjuring up memories of what happened last year with prices starting to take off. But I want to show you one more chart just to show that what we are seeing isn't necessarily out of the ordinary, and hopefully it gives you some calm and some solace that, you know, this market isn't running away from us again. And that is this chart. It is, you know, the last 10 years of monthly median sold price data. And again, what I've highlighted here, I've talked about this in previous videos, is from January until May of each year. And you can see that with the exception of 2017, with the exception of 2020, and with the exception of 2022, we do see prices seasonally increase from January to May each and every year. So it would not surprise me to see prices continue to maybe climb into May before leveling off, before coming down for the summer, like we see this dip every single year. This may be a bit more of a return to seasonality. With all that being said, I fully admit that, you know, affordability in the Greater Toronto Area is an absolute joke. It's pretty tough for people to qualify for a mortgage, even if they have great income, you know, or what we perceive as great income. Unfortunately, 6 figures just doesn't get you what it used to, you know, 15 years ago, even 10 years ago. Affordability is still a massive issue. I'm not saying that this kind of correction that may be coming further, or this kind of seasonal drop off in prices in the summer, is going to make things super affordable and we will see a rush of buyers, but I'm just not seeing affordability continue to run away even more in the coming months. That's everything that I've got for you this week. I hope that I was able to kind of paint a little bit clearer picture on these sold over asking signs that you are seeing. I hope that you are not freaking out or falling into FOMO that I'm going to miss out on this market. I better buy now before things take off. If they do take off, I apologize. Bottom line, you need to buy when the time is right for you. You need to rent when the time is right for you. And I'm here to help you with that. If you need anything, all the contact info is down in the description of this video. Thank you so much for sticking around for another week. I look forward to speaking with you again next week about the next topic that we cover. And until then, please stay safe and cheers. Hey there, I really appreciate you watching this video all the way to the end. If you enjoyed it, I've got another video for you right here on the screen. And you know, while you're here, maybe just click on my face, subscribe to. I don't want you to miss anything going forward.